इस वक्त हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में लाइव मौजूद हैं न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया के स्टूडियोज़ में इजराइल के राजदूत जो भारत की तरफ आए हैं रूवे नेज़ार। एम्बेसडर नमस्ते, थैंक यू।
नमस्ते आनंद।
दीज आर टफ टाइम्स, काफ़ी मुश्किल वक्त है इजराइल के लिए ये। कैन यू टेल अस व्हाट इज़ गोइंग ऑन राइट नाउ?
Indeed, these are tough times for us, Anand, because Israel has been attacked from multiple fronts. These fronts have been prepared by Iran for decades now. They have been proliferating weapons of mass destruction to all these rogue elements in our region. And now they have been using the opportunity after the atrocious attack of the 7th of October to launch a campaign to choke us from all fronts, from Lebanon.
आप अलग-अलग fronts की बात कर रहे हैं. Can you tell us which are the 4 or 5 fronts? Because
well, actually there are 7 fronts.
7 fronts.
Yes, it's the Gaza Strip that Hamas attacked us, is Lebanon, is Syria, is Iraq, the militias over there, the Houthis, and the West Bank, and Iran itself. So we have been attacked from 7 places. In all these places, Iran has prepared militias, terrorist groups that are having weapons and are trying to choke and exterminate the state of Israel. So we try to stay confined to the Gaza Strip following these atrocities, but they have chosen to attack us from other fronts. At the end of the day, when we failed to restore quiet in the north, we negotiated a ceasefire for 11 months with the help of the United States and France. That failed. So we had to take Nasrallah out. We had to take the entire leadership of Hezbollah out, and now we are systematically removing the threats from our immediate border, so Hezbollah cannot launch again, or cannot try to launch in the future an attack on northern Israel with this infrastructure of tunnels, explosives, and missiles they have prepared. Now, we have also retaliated against the Houthis. And now, the Iranians, when they saw our capabilities, and they saw that we are capable of cutting their tentacles in Gaza and in Lebanon, decided to attack us directly. And not for the first time. Israel was very responsible after, if you remember, in April, the Iranian regime attacked us with a barrage of about 300 missiles and drones. And now they have done it again. An unprecedented attack of ballistic missiles in the history of warfare. Thank God that Israel has the prowess, the technological prowess, and the military, our defense forces, that have managed to thwart this attack in a very successful way. We probably have one of the best air defense systems in the world. However, what would be the consequences for the world, not just for Israel, if we remain with this attack unretaliated? It means that Iran can terrorize any country in the Middle East and in the world. So we have not only the right, we have the duty to defend ourselves. This is what we owe to the Israeli people, and we would wish that more countries would join us in putting pressure on Iran, because this is completely unacceptable. It's a flagrant violation of the UN Charter of international law.
See, Israel का point of view, Israel की नज़र से कहें तो एम्बेसडर साहब ये कह रहे हैं कि they are fighting a war from 7 fronts. 7 तरह से इन्होंने ईरान की मदद से अलग अलग जगह पर इस तरह के संगठन खड़े किए हैं, जैसे हिजबुल्ला, हूती, हमास और इजराइल, वहाँ पर इस्लामिक जिहाद, बहुत सारे ऐसे अलग अलग संगठन हैं जो सालों से इजराइल पर अटैक करता आ रहा है. एम्बेसडर, आई वांट टू आस्क यू, इज इट ट्रू दैट नियरली 20% ऑफ इजराइल्स पॉपुलेशन एंड एरिया is actually displaced?
Well, we have 70,000 people that we have evacuated from the northern Israel, and that's because in those communities there was direct fire from Lebanon by Hezbollah in a way that we couldn't solve with our defense systems. So this population is still evacuated. We want to bring them back safely to their homes, and that's why we're doing this operation in Lebanon.
So they're displaced. Yeah.
In the south, we had to evacuate about 70,000 people as well from the immediate border of the Gaza Strip. Thankfully now, after we have neutralized the Hamas threat, about 80% of this population, about exactly 63,000 people, have gone back to their homes. So we hope to restore quiet in the south and also in the north.
Now there are also reports that जिस दिन ईरान ने मिसाइल दागे थे, there nearly 10 million Israelis were in bunkers, in shelters for nearly 2 hours. करीब 1 करोड़ इजरायली ऐसे थे जो सब पूरा इजराइल बंकर्स में था करीब 2 घंटे के लिए. But people are also asking that is Israel getting too aggressive And why is it that you continue the assault on Hamas? Why did Israel have to get so aggressive? Many are saying Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, he is getting overtly aggressive. Is this true? Or would you say no, that's not true?
Of course it's not true, and I'll tell you why. It's very simple. First of all, Israel was the party that was attacked on the 7th of October with this atrocious
Yes, that
crimes
massacre, yeah.
that we have never seen since World War II. We, as I told you, try to stay confined with answering only that threat. And we did it in a very responsible way, Anand, because compared to other fights in densely urban populated areas, the number of casualties, as much as they are tragic, and every life is tragic,
Yes.
it was very, very significantly lower than in other scenarios like Mosul and other places. Second thing is that we tried not to be too aggressive when it comes to the north, and we tried for 11 months to reach a ceasefire. We were refused. We waited a long time until we retaliated against the Houthis. So I tell you, if you were in our place, would you sit put when you are being attacked and you are taking your population out and doing nothing almost for 11 months? Is that too aggressive? It's the contrary of that. We are a democratic country, and we have the army of the people. We are not sending our people to die for nothing. It's only when you have an absolute necessity is that we use force.
So you said that you entered Hamas, or you entered Gaza Strip because you wanted to wipe out the Hamas ecosystem, especially the pipes and the conduits which they were using, and they were also using human shields. They had bases. You have released pictures of them having bases near hospitals and schools. But why do you have to enter Lebanon? Now the question is that Israel was the one that first attacked Lebanon in the 90s when the whole story started. Hezbollah also started, this entire movement started because Israel had eyes on Lebanon and Israel went into Lebanon. I'm just saying that's the counterpoint of view. And today they're asking, okay, you're attacking the Hezbollah, but why are you entering Lebanon?
But this is completely false, because Israel never entered Lebanon just for the sake of entering. It was only after we were attacked. And this is exactly what is happening now. We had a stable ceasefire for almost 2 decades.
2 decades, yes.
And Hezbollah has used this time to create a huge threat on our border, to try to conquer northern Israel by digging tunnels and preparing the infrastructure for thousands of their terrorists to launch from there an attack against us. Not only that, that on the 8th of October, they, in a completely unprovoked way, they attacked Israel.
Yes.
And that is a fact. It's undeniable fact. And we tried to get a ceasefire, despite the fact that we knew that they have this infrastructure. So right now, because of the fact that these terrorists cannot be easily deterred, we had to take care of the problem, and this is exactly what we did.
What did you find when the IDF moved in? There was a very startling claim that was made that around the 5th and 4th to the 7th of October, the same festival time in Israel, Hezbollah was planning something far more diabolical than what the Hamas did last year. Is that true? And what is it that they find? Why did you make that claim?
Because, well, the footage is beginning to come out. We are now, in the middle of the fight. We are having forces from 2 divisions of the Israeli Defense Forces that are now trying to clean up all these areas. So we are finding, to our amazement, the degree of infrastructure that was built underground with work that is being done for years to try to create a situation in which they can concentrate a large army underground and pop out with a surprise attack that would wipe out all our communities in the north and actually with conquer northern Israel. This is what they were planning. This is what we are finding out right now. So it's not just the tunnels, it's the explosives, it's the missiles, it's the anti-tank missiles, it's the indoctrination, the training that was coming from Iran. Hezbollah was getting $1 billion per year from Iran. So Iran has been using the resources of the Persian people, of the Iranian people, not for the sake of building Iran, but of the sake of destroying Israel and destroying our region. This is not acceptable. We have to fight against it, we have to deter the terrorists, and we have to create a situation in which we can restore peace in our region.
But Ambassador, Israel says for the defense of Israel and also to respond to what Iran has done, because it's a sovereign nation that's fired missiles against another sovereign nation. तो आपने कहा कि आप तो जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे, you will respond, you have the right to respond. But then that means you're going up the escalation ladder, because Iran has said if Israel responds, we will respond, and we will drag other neighboring nations into this entire theater. So we see it building up to something which nobody wants. That's full-scale war.
We are the last that want this escalation. As I told you, we were unprovokedly attacked, and we retaliated in a degree that is very responsible. But Iran wants to become the hegemon in the region. They want to send a signal, not just to Israel, but to all the countries in the region, that they have to subjugate to their will. This is what they are doing. And they are doing by using illegitimate and illegal means that are against the UN Charter. Iran is the only country in the world, I don't know if you knew that, that is publicly announcing that they want to destroy another country. And they even have a clock in Tehran that is counting the time down for the decimation of the state of Israel.
But the UN is also calling out Prime Minister Netanyahu. They have, and Iran has called him the persona non grata, put him on the hit list. But the UN is also looking at Israel as the aggressor. Why is that?
Well, first of all, the UN is not looking at Israel as the aggressor. What is happening is that the UN is not determined enough to confront the aggression of Iran. And we were very disappointed that the Secretary General of the UN, following this incredible barrage of missiles, didn't see fit to condemn the attack. And it took only our response, a very fierce response against his attitude. And then he finally decided to condemn Iran. But, you know, Anand, we need more than condemnation. Words are not going to solve the situation. We need an international community that is more united in confronting aggression by putting diplomatic, economic, and military pressure on this regime, which is completely illegitimate.
You think a regime change will solve it? Mera aakhri prashn hai, last question. Is Israel pushing for a regime change in Iran?
Israel doesn't have an operational plan of regime change in Iran. What we are doing is that we are communicating with the Iranian people. We are sure that because these civilizations, the Jewish civilization and the Persian civilizations that are very old and very friendly, they have the right to be free. And we want to tell them that we identify with them, that we identify with their fight for freedom, against the oppression of women, against the hanging of gays, against these laws that are completely destroying their society. Yes, we identify with them. We sympathize with them.
Well, let's hope that there is a resolution in sight, because war only hurts people. It doesn't help any.
Absolutely.
Even Israel will be hurting, and it's tough times. But Ambassador, thank you. Thank you for making the time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste.